Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into the worlds of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Two titans, really.
Absolutely. We've got some great material looking at, their origins, their rivalry, their completely different ideas about where things are headed.
Exactly. They're both billionaire inventors. They've massively changed things, but their style, totally different.
And their impact is just huge, isn't it? From social connection to, well, maybe living on Mars. These started as wild ideas.
Totally wild. So our mission today, we want to pull out the key stuff, their backgrounds, where they clash AI, social media, that cage fight idea.
Oh, yeah, that. We have to talk about that.
We do, plus their big visions, how they lead, how we see them, and really, what does this whole rivalry tell us about innovation, risk, and, responsibility today?
It's like a quick way to grasp their impact and these big forces shaping, well, everything.
Okay, let's get into it, because it's more than just two guys competing, right? It touches on these big questions about where humanity's going with all this tech.
For sure. Let's start right at the beginning, because their starting points couldn't be more different. Musk, in Pretoria, South Africa. Zuckerberg, White Plains, New York.
Yeah, Pretoria versus White Plains, even that tells a story. Different worlds entirely.
Definitely. A big city in a changing country versus, the U.S. suburbs, close to the action economically, culturally.
Yeah.
That must shape you somehow.
And their childhoods, just as different. Musk was apparently glued to books. Space, science, computers, taught himself coding at 10.
10 years old.
Yeah.
And sold a video game he made at 12. That's intense.
Right. But he also dealt with bullying, apparently. Always dreaming big, though. Space, the future, that drive to build, it was there early.
Yeah, that self-taught thing, the early business venture.
Yeah.
It points to this deep need to figure things out, build things, real inner motivation.
Then there's Zuck. Loved languages, history, computers too, but had supportive parents, dentists, psychiatrists, built ZuckNet messaging for his family at 12.
ZuckNet, right. Even then, focused on connecting people. Seems like he was pretty confident focused.
That focus on connection is the thread, isn't it? Pun intended, maybe. It runs right through to Facebook.
Definitely prefigures Facebook's mission. And maybe that family background, the focus on human behavior, pushed him towards social interaction tech.
Their education tracks diverge too. Musk moves to Canada, ends up at Penn studying physics and economics. Serious stuff. Already thinking about the future.
Physics and economics. That's understanding the rules of the universe and how resources work. Pretty foundational for what he did later.
Seems like it. Whereas Zuckerberg, Harvard, but drops out at 19. Full focus on Facebook.
Yeah, drops out. That's a big move.
Yeah.
Shows incredible belief in the idea, right? Didn't want to miss the boat.
Definitely decisive. And from there, their first big ventures, Musk had Zip2, then X.com, which became PayPal, building infrastructure systems, big impact stuff.
Right. Finding needs in new tech and building scalable solutions. That's a pattern.
And Zuckerberg, of course, Facebook. That laser focus on connection,
Right.
which led to incredible growth fast.
That single focus was key. Let them iterate quickly, get those network effects going, became dominant really fast.
Fast forward a bit, they're empires now. Musk, Tesla, obviously, SpaceX, Neuralink, the Boring Company, his big vision, multi-planetary life, sustainable energy, pushing tech boundaries hard.
It's such a broad range of things. Cars, rockets, brain tech, tunnels, but all driven by these huge, almost existential goals for humanity.
It's massive. Then Zuckerberg. Facebook becomes Meta. Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus VR, Vision. There seems more about social media dominance, the metaverse, immersive online life.
Yeah, the focus is enhancing digital connections, blurring that line between physical and virtual.
And their personalities just leap out. Musk, Bold, dramatic, unpredictable. Zuckerberg, quiet, controlled, very careful.
Super different styles, and that must affect how their companies run, how they interact with the world.
Which kind of sets the stage for their disagreements, right? Even early on, you could see the clash coming. Physical world solutions versus digital connection.
Exactly. One building tangible things, the other building virtual connections. As they got bigger, those paths were bound to cross, create some friction.
And boy, did they cross, especially over AI. That became a huge flashpoint.
Oh, absolutely. Musk has been warning about AI dangers for ages, called it summoning the demon.
Right. Pushing for rules, safety. He even co-founded OpenAI originally to make sure AI was, good for humanity. He gets the whole exponential growth risk.
That worry about unintended consequences, about something smarter than us. It's a core concern for him. OpenAI was meant to mitigate that.
Zuckerberg, pretty much the opposite view, much more optimistic. AI as a tool for good saving lives, healthcare breakthroughs, all that.
Yeah. He sees the immediate benefits, thinks the fear-mongering is, quote, irresponsible, hinders progress, in his view.
And they had that public spat, didn't they? 2017. Zuckerberg dismissed the fears on a Facebook Live.
And Musk shot back on Twitter, something like, his understanding of AI is limited. Pretty direct.
Ouch. Yeah, very blunt. Showed a real philosophical split.
And it wasn't just AI. They differed on social media, too. Musk was really critical of Facebook, especially after Cambridge Analytica.
That data leak was huge. Really brought privacy concerns to the forefront. Musk clearly didn't like it.
He didn't just talk, though. He actually deleted the Tesla and SpaceX Facebook pages.
Yeah. Said it gave him the creeps, and then tweeted #delete Facebook. That got a lot of attention.
That's a strong statement. Going beyond words, actually acting on it, probably dinged Facebook's image a bit.
Meanwhile, Musk gets louder and louder on Twitter, now X, while Zuckerberg stays more buttoned up online. Reflects our whole style.
Different communication strategies, for sure. Different ways of engaging publicly.
So it really comes down to that fundamental difference again. Musk, the builder, physical stuff. Zuckerberg, the connector, digital platform.
Precisely. Different motivations, different domains. Leads to different views on tech's impact.
And different future visions, too. Musk aiming for Mars, physical building. Zuckerberg for the metaverse, digital spaces. One's looking out, the other kind of in.
Outward expansion versus enriching our digital lives. Both incredibly ambitious, almost sci-fi visions.
Even how they handle money seems different. Musk reinvests like crazy, takes huge risks. Zuckerberg seems more focused on steady growth, protecting the company.
Reflects their risk tolerance, maybe, and their belief in their very different long-term plays.
So yeah, it started as maybe parallel tech paths, but it became this deep philosophical fight way beyond just business.
It's about core beliefs. What should the future look like? How should tech serve us? That's the real conflict.
Which brings us to, well, the cage fight. June 2023. Things got weird. Really weird.
Yeah, that definitely blurred the lines between tech billionaires and WWE, maybe.
It started with Musk tweeting he'd be up for a cage match, if Zuck was. Most people probably thought, okay, Elon being Elon.
Totally expected reaction given his track record of online provocations.
But then Zuck posts on Instagram, send me location. Whoa, the internet just lost its mind.
That short reply suddenly made it seem real, or at least really intriguing. It captured everyone's attention.
Instantly became this huge symbolic thing. 2 tech titans, 2 empires, 2 futures. Gotta punch it out. The memes were incredible.
The symbolism was off the charts. A clash of styles, visions, personalities played out physically.
And they seem to be preparing, sort of. Zuck's into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? He's actually won tournament.
Yeah. Zuck, the BJJ practitioner, kind of changed his image a bit. challenge the tech CEO stereotype.
Musk said he mostly lifted weights, but claimed he was still game, less conventional prep maybe.
Very on brand for Musk, perhaps. Less structured, more unpredictable.
There was talk of streaming it on X, donating proceeds to veterans charities, added this weird layer of potential
I
philanthropy.
think the charity angle made it seem slightly less like just a billionaire ego trip, maybe. Added public interest.
The online reaction was nuts. Memes, theories, celebs weighing in. Dana White from the UFC was apparently serious about organizing it.
The sheer level of engagement showed how fascinated people are with these two, and this bizarre turn in their rivalry.
The whole thing just felt like ego and power playing out, didn't it? Their competition for dominance just manifesting physically.
It was definitely a very public, very theatrical display of their competitive drive, spilling out of the boardroom.
And think about the timing. Musk had just bought Twitter, renamed it X, aiming for this everything app. Then Zuck launches Threads, a direct competitor.
Right, the timing was perfect. Threads launches, cage fight talk heats up, adds that layer of strategic rivalry.
Threads took off super fast initially. Musk probably wasn't thrilled. Real business competition alongside the potential punch-up.
That quick uptake of Threads showed there was an appetite for an alternative, probably fueled the tension even more.
But then, poof, the fight just fizzled out. Musk mentioned needing surgery, maybe. Zuck said it was time to move on. Kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, it just sort of faded. Maybe convenient for both, stepping back without a clear loser in that strange arena.
But the rivalry didn't vanish, obviously. It just went back to the usual channels. Companies, apps, AI debates, their big future plans. The core competition is still there.
Absolutely. The competition just shifted back to the tech and market battlegrounds we're more used to.
Makes you wonder what that whole episode really was. Genuine rivalry boiling over, a bizarre marketing stunt, just peak tech world weirdness.
Probably a bit of everything, right? Real animosity, a desire for attention, strategic positioning, all mixed together.
If we step back again, their whole rivalry really feels like this fundamental split over humanity's future. Different endgames.
Yeah, at its heart, it's different philosophies on how we should evolve, what tech's role should be.
Look at Musk's vision, becoming multiplanetary. He sees that as essential for survival, not just cool, an imperative.
Driven by existential risk, basically. We need to get off this rock. That's the core idea.
And SpaceX is the tool for that. Building a city on Mars, making space travel affordable. Huge goals.
Staggering ambition, a self-sustaining civilization elsewhere in our lifetimes. Wow.
That's Tesla. Not just cool cars, it's about fighting climate change. EVs, batteries, solar, it's mission-driven.
Tackling huge environmental problems head-on with tech, promoting sustainability.
Neuralink, brain-computer interfaces. Helping with disabilities, sure, but also maybe keeping humans competitive with AI, merging with tech.
That raises massive ethical questions, doesn't it? Human augmentation, our relationship with AI, deep stuff.
And X, the global town square idea. Free speech, open communication. Though that comes with its own set of problems and debates.
For sure. The whole moderation versus free speech thing is incredibly complex. Misinformation, impact, it's tricky.
Okay, contrast that with Zuckerberg. His vision is rooted in the digital future, the metaverse as the next internet.
Right, immersive, interactive digital experiences moving beyond 2D screens.
MetaQuest VRR. That's the huge investment in building these virtual worlds. A massive long-term gamble.
Billions pouring into it. Shows how much he believes in that immersive future, even if mainstream adoption isn't quite there yet.
And he still emphasizes connection through the existing platforms, obviously. Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. linking billions, that's still central.
Yep, expanding those connections remains key even while building the metaverse.
Plus, he talks more now about control, privacy, safety, digital well-being, maybe a response to all the criticism, showing more awareness.
Seems plausible. An acknowledgement of the responsibilities that come with that kind of global reach and influence.
And their styles? Again, Musk. Loud, wild, controversial, inspires fans, angers critics, polarizing.
The polarizing effect is definitely his brand. Unfiltered communication drives it.
Zuckerberg. More reserved, private, careful, seen as brilliant, but sometimes robotic, detached.
Yeah, that measured, controlled style projects, strategic thinking, but maybe left personal connection for some.
So who's winning? If you look at money, influence, vision, it's hard to say, isn't it? It shifts constantly and depends what you value.
Totally subjective. What does winning even mean here? They've both achieved incredible success in their own ways.
It feels like maybe they're both right about some things, wrong about others, and their competing ideas force us to ask important questions about where we're heading.
They're like valuable thought experiments,
Mm-hmm.
pushing us to consider different futures, the trade-offs involved.
Ultimately, it feels like a philosophical battle. What's the ideal future? What role should tech play?
Yeah, that tension between different approaches to progress, different core values guiding development.
And the actual future. Probably not just one vision wins out, right? Likely a blend. Needs boldness and discipline, invention and connection.
A synthesis, most likely. Balancing radical ideas with thoughtful integration into society.
Okay, let's shift to the companies themselves. Tesla, Meta, SpaceX, Reality Labs. They really are extensions of the founders, aren't they? Reflecting their visions, their leadership.
Absolutely. Tangible manifestations of their ambitions, mirroring their values and priorities.
Tesla started to fight climate change, make EVs cool. Musk is Tesla to most people. The face, the driving force, the disruptor.
His deep involvement, that sheer force of will, was crucial. Overcame so much skepticism, near bankruptcy, now it's dominant.
Yeah, incredible story. Now the most valuable car company, plus solar, batteries, huge success.
Really shows how visionary leadership can just transform an entire industry.
And the culture there, famous for speed, disruption, intense demands, just like Musk himself. High pressure.
That intensity drives innovation, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it also highlights the potential human cost of that relentless ambition.
Okay, contrast that. Meta. Started as Facebook in a dorm room. Grew incredibly fast. Mission. Connect people, build community.
That explosive growth shows the power of network effects. Changed how billions interact.
Zuckerberg's leadership there. Data-driven, structured, long-term planning. The big challenges, too. Privacy, misinformation, addiction, government scrutiny, lots of controversy. These controversies really underscore the huge ethical responsibilities of running platforms with that kind of global influence.
And the pivot to the metaverse, Reality Labs. That's Zuck's big, costly bet on VR/AR. Huge investment, losses so far, high stakes.
That massive spending shows his conviction in immersive tech, even if the payoff is still way down the road.
Then SpaceX, the crazy goal of reusable rockets colonizing Mars. People thought it was impossible initially. Totally. Went from seemed like a fantasy to being a major player in space launch, disrupting a government-dominated field. Shows what persistence and radical innovation can do.
And Starship development, aiming for the moon and Mars. That's the multiplanetary vision made real, expanding beyond Earth.
It's a huge leap in tech, a concrete step towards actually getting humans established elsewhere.
So you compare SpaceX's outward physical push to other planets with Meta's inward digital push into virtual worlds via Reality Labs. It just highlights that fundamental split again. Stars versus screens, kind of.
One expanding our physical universe, the other building new digital universes.
Which leads back to that core contrast. Musk's radical freedom, speed, Zuckerberg's systems, structure, protection, different core values driving things.
And those differing philosophies shape everything about their companies, how they operate day to day.
Let's talk leadership styles directly, because it's such a stark contrast, isn't it? Chaos versus control, almost.
Oh, definitely. Strikingly different, reflecting their personalities and how they approach problem-solving innovation.
Musk's style seems driven by crazy urgency, long hours, high expectations, fast-paced, rule-breaking, sudden changes, firings even, high intensity.
That intensity can fuel rapid progress, sure, but it can also create a pretty volatile, stressful environment for people working there.
He leads like a mission commander, right? Focused on the grand vision saving humanity. That can inspire fierce loyalty if you buy in.
That sense of purpose, the appeal to a big mission, can be incredibly motivating for those aligned with his goals.
The result, often described as chaotic but productive, but you hear extreme reactions from employees love him or hate him. Not much middle ground.
Yeah, that lack of middle ground really speaks to his strong, polarizing management approach.
Zuckerberg, on the other hand, much quieter, logical, calculated, relies heavily on data for decisions, very analytical.
That emphasis on data, metrics,
Yeah.
it reflects a more systematic approach to management.
Known for organized meetings, using KPIs, long-term planning. Intense, but usually calm, a steady hand.
That more measured style can foster stability, predictability, which can be good in a big tech company.
It's intense, yes, but also seen as someone who remembers mistakes and successes, rewards performance, learns from setbacks, continuous improvement vibe.
Suggests a focus on learning, long-term perspective on growth and development.
Now, some see his style as too corporate, maybe slow. Others see it as strategic, resilient. Depends on your perspective.
Yeah, perceptions depend on whether you prefer structure or flexibility, speed versus stability, trade-offs.
So, summing it up, Musk is often inspirational, unpredictable. Zuck, more strategic, distant. Musk, urgency, instinct. Zuck, logic, systems. Musk, cult personality. Zuck, culture of performance.
And both approaches have led to massive success. Shows there's no single right way to lead a tech giant today.
And that difference must shape the whole experience of working there. Are you on a rocket ship or in a structured lab? Very different feels.
Definitely caters to different personalities, different preferences for risk and structure.
Okay, final big area. Public image. This is fascinating too. How are these guys seen? Hero? Villain? Meme? It's complex.
Super complex. They both evoke such strong reactions, reflecting their huge impact on society.
Musk, for many, is the hero. Bold, visionary, modern inventor like Tony Stark. Admired for taking risks, thinking big, inspires a lot of people.
That image comes from his breakthroughs, right? Space, EVs, neurotech. Captures the imagination with these seemingly impossible goals he chases.
But there's the villain narrative, too. Reckless billionaire, criticized for worker treatment, insensitive comments, maybe spreading misinformation.
Absolutely. Concerns about workplace conditions, ethical questions about his ventures, his controversial use of social media, that all fuels the negative view.
And then he's also kind of a meme lord, right? Engages with internet culture, uses humor, sometimes controversially, seen as real unconventional, speaks the language.
His willingness to jump into internet culture, be unfiltered, it makes him seem relatable to some, even if it's controversial.
Almost seems like he uses that humor and chaos strategically to control attention, stay in the news.
It's an unconventional PR strategy for sure. Keeps him constantly discussed, for better or worse.
Zuckerberg's image has really evolved. Started as the boy wonder, right? Young, smart, changed communication globally.
Yeah, the early image was definitely the tech prodigy who reshaped how we connect.
But that image took a beating. Facebook's growth brought intense scrutiny, fake news, privacy, mental health impacts, Cambridge Analytica. That was a turning point.
Those controversies seriously damaged public trust, raised big questions about the ethical duties of platforms and their leaders.
And his public appearances, often seen as calm, but maybe detached, robotic, that contributed to unease or suspicion for some.
That reserved persona can sometimes read as lacking empathy or transparency.
Remember the metaverse avatar reveal, widely mocked at first, but lately maybe a shift, more personal posts, trying to seem more human.
Seems like an ongoing effort, yeah. Trying to connect more personally, maybe counter that earlier robotic image.
So ultimately, they both trigger strong, often opposite reactions, embody different values, different kinds of power in our digital world.
Their contrasting images reflect how they wield influence, the different values they seem to prioritize publicly.
So pulling it all together, what does this rivalry teach us? It feels like more than just egos clashing. It's about innovation, risk, responsibility, big takeaways.
Their competition really does offer valuable insights into tech advancement and its societal impacts.
They're both clearly visionaries, pushing boundaries. Musk with space, transport, neurotech, always reaching for the next frontier.
He embodies that relentless drive to disrupt, pursue seemingly impossible goals across so many fields.
And Zuckerberg revolutionized social interaction, now betting huge on the metaverse, the future of digital connection.
His vision is about evolving digital interaction, creating new virtual spaces for connection and experience.
The lesson on innovation seems to be, it needs to be meaningful, beneficial. It brings opportunity, but also responsibility. It has consequences.
Right. True innovation isn't just novelty. It needs deep thought about its broader impact, its ethics.
Then risk. Musk is the poster child for huge, high-stakes gambles, SpaceX failures, Tesla near bankruptcy, all driven by belief, high risk, high reward.
His willingness to take extreme risks is defining, pushing ventures to the brink for ambitious goals.
Zuckerberg's risks maybe look different, more strategic, calculated, but the metaverse investment, that's a massive long-term bet with an uncertain outcome. Plus, managing Facebook's complexities, still substantial risk.
Yeah, his big strategic bets, especially the metaverse, are huge long-term risks. Could be transformative or not.
The lesson there seems to be failure is part of the game in innovation. Resilience is key. You have to be able to bounce back.
Absolutely. Learning from failures, persevering through setbacks, that's crucial for innovators.
And finally, responsibility. Musk faces criticism over worker treatment, the consequences of rapid, maybe unchecked innovation, ethical questions.
Concerns about the ethics of fast development, the social impact, they're consistently raised.
Zuckerberg. Constant scrutiny over data privacy, misinformation, ethical issues tied to Facebook's massive scale and influence. Huge responsibilities.
The power these platforms wield demands really careful thought about data security, content moderation, user well-being.
So the core lesson on responsibility. Power to change the world demands really careful thought about consequences. Innovation without responsibility. Dangerous.
True leadership needs that balance. Ambitious vision and deep understanding of the potential societal impact.
So yeah, their rivalry just hammers home that need to balance bold vision with responsible action. Real leadership today isn't just about cool ideas, it's about deeply considering their impact. Makes you think about how we can be bold but responsible, you know?
It really does. How do we reconcile that drive for progress with the need for ethics, for responsibility in developing tech? It's a question for all of us.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Musk and Zuckerberg, We've seen these two really distinct paths, one pushing boundaries radically, the other building this interconnected digital future. We looked at the huge risks they take and the massive responsibility that comes with their influence.
Their rivalry really highlights that ongoing tension between different visions for humanity and the vital role ethics has to play in guiding tech development.
Which leaves one last thought for you, the listener. Which approach resonates more with you, and why? Is it the radical, boundary-smashing, sometimes chaotic way, or the interconnected, immersive digital vision? It's complex, no easy answers, and likely elements of both will shape the world we all live in tomorrow. Thanks so much for taking this deep dive with us.
Engaging with these big questions about tech's future and its impact is just so important for everyone.
We really appreciate you joining us. Hope you keep thinking about these themes, keep discussing the forces shaping our future.